Good evening to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start our class. Was there anything important in today's news?
So Alia and Ranbir got married.
Okay. Anything else regarding your syllabus, entrance syllabus? Can you people see my screen?
No, sir.
Now,
Yes.
okay, file unavailable. So 32 students had filled, yes, filled this examination, appeared in this exam, short test, and your average score is 12.47 out of 20 points. So whoever has scored 14, I can see mostly people have scored 14 and 15. That is quite good marks whoever has got this. And nearly 30 questions comes from this section what I am teaching to you people, Indian polity and constitution, and try to score as more as possible, at least 25 out of 30. So if you will score this good in in this section, in other section your burden would be less. You have to cross the 60 plus marks if you are scoring 25 out of 30 from here, and it is easily scoreable if you have your concepts clear, and if you have studied properly, and if you had solved the previous year question paper, and you have went through all these mock tests, you can easily score 25 out of this. When I have written, I have almost scored. There were I think 30 or 30 plus question. I have got just 1 2 wrong in all of them. My Indian polity and constitution was already strong, so that's why I am also suggesting to you people, just revise and focus on this portion. It is easily scoreable. So first question is that total number of members in a legislative council should not exceed that of the legislative assembly. So in our constitution, there is also provision of legislative council, and I think it is in article 169. If I am not wrong, it is somewhere near that, and there it is mentioned that the strength of the legislative council should not exceed more than 1/3. So you people would have known that. Can anyone tell me how many states there are legislative councils in India?
The 7 states.
7 states. Which state?
So Jammu and Kashmir, UP, Bihar, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, but there's no Jammu and Kashmir anymore, and Maharashtra.
Okay, so you have told only 5 excluding Jammu and Kashmir. So there are 6, earlier it was 7, but now Jammu and Kashmir has no more legislative council. So currently it is 6, 2 are in north, that is UP and Bihar, and 4 are in south, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra. So remember something like that, it would be easy to remember. 4 are in south, that is Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra and Telangana, and 2 in north, that is Bihar and UP. If you will look their numbers, you will found that they are either, one third or less than one third. In UP, how many seats are there in the legislative council?
36.
36. No, it's 100 seat in our legislative council. It should be one third, less than one third of legislative assembly. So in our legislative, what?
403.
In our legislative assembly it is 403. So it should not exceed more than 134. So in UP we have one
इलेक्शंस कितनी सीट पे है?
in 100. Recently I think on 36 seats election happened
Okay.
in UP. So it is a total 100 seats. In Bihar, if you will look in their assembly, what is the strength of assembly of Bihar? Can anyone tell? Of legislative assembly?
So 280.
No, I think 243, and their number of legislative council is 75. So this is, that means there should always either one third or less than one third in their legislative council comparison to legislative assembly. And it is totally depend upon the legislative assembly to form a legislative council or not. It's totally depend on them. If they will pass a resolution that they want to make a legislative council, they will pass it and they will send it to the parliament. After that, parliament creates or abolish the legislative council on the demand of legislative assembly. So these are some concepts regarding this you people should remember. Okay. So next question is, for those union territories which have no legislative council of their own, laws are passed by. Here it is saying that whichever union territories are there which do not have their own assembly, then who makes the laws for them? For union territories like Chandigarh, for union territories like Andaman Nicobar, like Lakshadweep, Daman, Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli. For them, who makes the laws? It is question is asking here, and most of you have confused with either president or with administrator. But correct answer is parliament. 35% only got this answer. Correct answer is parliament. And I think you people would have recently seen in news that recently Indian Parliament have changed some provisions of Delhi state. Have you people heard that? It was two months back. Huh? Yes. Regarding regarding LG's power enhancement. So it happened due to by the Parliament. So Parliament have power to make the rules make the laws and rules for the union territories. So next question is, which of the following bill cannot be introduced first in Rajya Sabha? So there is a concept regarding money bill which is mentioned in Article 1110 of Indian Constitution, that money bill should first money bill should get permission from president before presenting it in parliament, and only in the lower house of the parliament money bill can be presented, I mean initially. After that, after the money will get passed by Lok Sabha, then it went to Rajya Sabha. First it did not go to Rajya Sabha. So this is a way of money bill. Can anyone tell me who decides what is money bill and what is not a money bill?
Lok Sabha Speaker.
It's solely the depends upon the Lok Sabha speaker. It's under his authority that he decide which is money bill and which is not a money bill. Next question is an ordinance promulgated by the president. So only 57% got it correct. That is, will lapse on the expiration of 6 weeks from the meeting of parliament. So there is provision in our constitution. Can anyone tell under which article president promulgates ordinance?
So 72.
72 is pardoning power. Yesterday I have
23.
yes 123. Yesterday I have told you people it's 123. So under the 123, I mean ordinance promulgated by the president, and whenever a session of parliament sits, if that ordinance is not passed by, I mean that ordinance is not approved under the 6 week after this, from the first sitting of the parliament, it would be expired, and these, I mean effect would be wide. There would be no effect of that ordinance. Under the 6 week, if parliament want to make law, make an act or anything, parliament have to rectify it, pass it a bill for that ordinance from both house and make it as an act, or make it as an act. So everybody clear about this provision regarding this, that from the first sitting of parliament there is 6 week. If under that 6 week, if parliament pass that ordinance bill, then it turns into law, then it turns into an act. If they will reject it, or if they will ignore it for continuously 6 weeks, then it will become void. Its effect will be lapse. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's move on next. If anyone is not getting anything, he can tell me. I can revise. I can also speak. I will also speak Hindi if he understands Hindi. The president can promulgate ordinance when both the house of the parliament are not in session. When he will give an ordinance, when the situation is that house of parliament is not in session and it would be necessary, and if council of minister will ask him, then he will come with an ordinance. So next question is if the minister of a state wants to resign, to whom should he address the letter of resignation? Minister of state, here it is talking about state ministers, they will give the resignation to the governor of the state. 64% got it correct. In the case of conflict between center and state in respect of a subject included in the concurrent list, we know there are 3 lists where these lists are mentioned. Can anyone tell me? In which schedule these lists are mentioned?
7th schedule.
Yes, it is mentioned in 7th schedule, that union list, state list and concurrent list.
Concurrent list.
Can anyone
specific article भी है क्या?
regarding these lists?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, these lists are mentioned when we will read part 12 and 13. In part near part 12 or 13, there is a power.
State legislative relations.
Center state legislative relation and center state administrative relation. There,
248. Yes.
these things are mentioned. So, can anyone briefly tell me what is concurrent list?
The concurrent list is the list in which both the subjects are there. State subjects are also there. Matlab, state also has the power and the union also has the power.
Yes, under the yes. Under the concurrent list, there are some subjects which on which both and state and union both can make the laws. So that is the concurrent list. State government also have authority to make law on those
तो
things.
सब्जेक्ट्स कितने कितने एक बार आप बता देंगे प्लीज?
47 subject in concurrent list.
Okay. And in other?
66 state list and 97 in union list.
97 in union.
ज़्यादा हो गए हैं, 100 हो गए हैं, तो चेक करना प्लीज.
Okay, once check it and let us know, anyone. So, under the concurrent list, both have the authority, but if someone is making a law, suppose state government has like education is, he is just checking and he will let us know. I think 97 is there.
Yes, sir. I don't know 100.
Wait, I will check and I will let you people know. So, like education is in our concurrent list. Suppose state government had made some law regarding that education and center has made something else. If both are conflicting to each other, then unions, whatever law is made by union government, that would prevail over the state government's law. So this is the a kind of solution for regarding conflict between center and state subjects. Under union
list में
100 है, I think.
Originally 97
हाँ,
97 रहता है, वैसे
currently 100 है. Yes. So next question is the maximum strength of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha respectively is. Somebody was asking about this in put it regarding this a message in our group, that if option would be 550 and 250, then you people have to go 550 and 250. If option is 552 and 250, then you have to go with 552 and 250, because this amendment happened in January 2020 by the 104th Amendment Act. Central government has extended 10 years more for the reservation of SC/ST, and central government with that 100 in the same 104th Amendment Act removed the reservation for Anglo-Indian. For Anglo-Indian there was a 2 seat reserved in Lok Sabha, and in every assembly 1 seat was there in Vidhan Sabha. So for Lok Sabha, President has the authority to select anyone if Anglo-Indians are not represented well in our parliament, and same cases with the Legislative Assembly. When governor see that Anglo-Indians are not represented well in that assembly, so he has the right to elect an Anglo-Indian in that assembly. So both of that 2 members from the Lok Sabha and 1 member from the Vidhan Sabha, both is removed from our constitution. So there is no more reservation for Anglo-Indians. So due to that, 552 turned into 550. So whenever there would be 550 to 50, then go with that. Either if that is not the option, always go with the same 552 and 250. And it happened in 2020 January. But suppose someone is already elected in our parliament, he would be remain till that 5-year tenure. After that, he would be after that no one would be able to appoint. I mean president would not be able to appoint. So everybody got clarity on this? Okay. So next question is, from which country constitution the rule of law has been borrowed? From where the rule of law came in our constitution? That is came in from UK.
UK.
Yes.
So rule of law और rule established by law में क्या फर्क है?
Rule of law means law would be have the highest authority in that country wherever it would be, and everybody would be governed under the law. Everybody would be looked through the law. I mean there would be no discrimination between person who is rich, between rich and poor, between educated and non-educated, between authority, administrative authority, and between a common citizen. So that is the rule of law. That law would be same for each and everyone, and it would be treated equally. That is the rule of law. And what you said other term?
So rule established by law.
Rule established by law. Rule established by law means that something is, I mean, most of the time parliaments make the law, but do not, I mean, give the authority of making rule to the executive bodies. Like they do not write every single provisions of rules. So there is some difference between rules and laws. Laws are framed by parliamentarians, and most of the time they give up making a small rule, like suppose motor vehicle act came, so that's a law by parliament, but there are some provisions under that, that is the rules, and those rules are defined by the made by the executive. Later parliament check it once that they are correct or not, they are according to law or not. So rule established by law means any rule have made that is under the law, that I mean rule is made, that is rule not by framed by somebody, I mean not by a group or not by a single authority, but it is under the law that is framed by our parliamentarians. So that is rule established by law. Got it? Like there is a provision in a motor vehicle act that you have to wear the helmet, otherwise we will make a fine of 500. So I think that this would be not under law. Under law it would be there that we should make some provisions to stop the accident, or make some provision to protect the people from having accident or something like that. But who made this key that if you will not wear helmet we will impose 500? That would be made by ministry or some secretary under the ministry would be made that these rules are there and now you have to follow. So who made those rules? Those rules made by the secretary or ministry, but those rules are made under the laws. So that is the meaning of rule established by law. That laws is already established and rule is under that. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move on the next question. From which country constitution the rule of law have been borrowed? We have discussed it just now, UK. Okay, from which constitution of power between union and state have been borrowed? So always I have in previous classes also discussed that our federal system is more inclined toward Canada, and that is what here it is written, power sharing between union and state. So these kind of tricky questions come. So you have to always, your concept should be clear, and you should also connect the dots with one question with another question. If you have this idea, if you got this idea, you will score really well. So Canada is the right answer there. The emergency provision of the constitution is from Weimar Constitution of Germany. During that time, earlier Weimar Republic was also name of Germany. So from there this Weimar term came. Weimar Constitution of Germany, we have took the provisions of emergency, like suspending the fundamental rights, some of the fundamental rights. These came from the influence of German Constitution. Next question is, the Council of Ministers has to tender its resignation if a vote of no confidence is passed against it by the Lok Sabha, by the Rajya Sabha, by the two house at a joint sitting, by the two house of parliament, by 2/3 majority. So in our constitution it is clearly written, I think under article 76 it is written that if I mean the council of minister is answerable to the Lok Sabha only. It is not mentioned that council of minister are answerable to the parliament. They are answerable to the parliament, but major authority is over them through the Lok Sabha, and Lok Sabha has the only authority to vote against them as a no confidence motion. Rajya Sabha do not participate in that. Do not participate in that. So whenever a no confidence motion would be passed, it would be only passed in the Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. Because most of you have got confused with both house and a single house. Switch off your mic. Somebody's mic is on. Next question is, who decides whether a bill is a money bill or not? Speaker of Lok Sabha, President, Prime Minister, Parliamentary Committee. Most of you have got that is Speaker of Lok Sabha. Next question is, the Speaker of Lok Sabha has to address his letter of resignation. Means to whom and Lok Sabha Speaker will give his resignation. So that is the Deputy Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Can anyone tell me to whom President would write his resignation, will give his resignation?
Vice President. Vice President.
Yes. President will give his resignation to the Vice President and Speaker will give his resignation to Deputy Speaker. Next is the judges of Supreme Court can be removed by the President on the recommendation of the Parliament. So most of you have got correct, and this is the correct answer. When Parliament, if anyone want to remove a judge from the Supreme Court, then somebody come with a bill, somebody come with a no confidence motion against that Supreme Court. They will write it to the Speaker, and if the Speaker will agree with that thing, that Supreme Court judge, there are also some grounds, where it is mentioned that Supreme Court has intermingled with some kind of corruption or something like that. So then the Speaker will satisfy with those things. Then there would be a assembly will form and committee. After that, committee will look on that, and after that there are provision. Parliament will pass the bill. Pass the no confidence against the Supreme Court. There for their removal, and after that finally President can remove the Supreme Court. So this is really a huge long process. It generally didn't happen. So how many judges of Supreme Court have been removed from their office? So till yet none of them have been removed, but once it happened against a judge of Calcutta High Court. C or he, whoever was that judge, that judge framed under that, and Parliament also almost passed the no confidence against that judge, but that judge, before that came into picture, that judge resigned from that post, and due to that, till yet no one get removed from his office through the impeachment. So sorry, impeachment is the correct term. Next is, which article of Constitution permit the Supreme Court to review its own judgment? So it's article 137. I have put it here 139, later I have rectified it. It is article 137. I have put it 139 at two place. It happened by mistake. One was Article 137, one was Article 139. So both place 139. I mean, I have written that, I have rectified that. So it is mentioned in 137. Can anyone tell me what is 136? One day I have told you special leave petition about SLP, special leave petition. From any lower court you can directly go to Supreme Court through the SLP. So SLP is mentioned in 136. And under 124, what is under 124? 124 talks about the Supreme Court. Article of Supreme Court start with 124 and it goes till 147. Then the question is, the Rajya Sabha is a permanent house, but 1/3 of its member retires every 2 years. So every 2 years their 1/3 members retires. Can anyone tell me that when, I mean, Rajya Sabha was formed in 1952? I think 1952 it was formed, or 1950 first time. So how this thing, I mean, this process started? Because all the members are elected for the 6 years. So how some members got retired? That's why this process started, no? That in 2 years 1/3 will retire. How it happened? Any idea? Any guess? So first time, I mean, after 2 years after the formation of Rajya Sabha, after 2 years, they did started removing 1/3 of their member through the cheat method. I mean, you have to go and pick a cheat. If you are under the cheat, I mean, if you 1/3 cheat are there for the removing that people. So if your luck is not with you, so you will get out of the Rajya Sabha. So it started something like that. Next is, what can be the maximum gap between the two sessions of parliament? So in our constitution it is written that none of the session gap would be more than 6 months. Only this thing is written. So in a year any number of session can happen, and in a year at least, I mean, gap would not be more than 6 months. So there is at least 2 sessions happen if we will, I mean, not give the gap more than 6 months. So the chairman of Rajya Sabha is, so here it is a, I mean, conceptual question, because we know vice president use, this is a tricky question, and if your concept would be clear you can easily do that. It is talking about the vice president. Who used to chairman of Rajya Sabha? We all know that vice president is ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. So here it is talking about vice president, and we all know that vice president is elected by the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Today we will also read that. Most of you have got it wrong. I mean, only 28% got it correct. So it is talking about the vice president, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so let's move on our lecture. Anyone has any doubt? None?
No, sir.
Okay, let's move on our lecture. Today we will discuss Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers and Attorney General of India. First we will start with Vice President. Vice President is the second highest office in the Constitution after the President, we all know. Indian Vice President is elected indirectly by an electoral college consisting of members of both House of Parliament. So both House of Parliament means Lok Sabha, all the member of Lok Sabha and all the member of Rajya Sabha, including nominated members, can vote to the Vice President. But state legislature cannot vote to the Vice President. So only the both House of the Parliament will elect the Vice President of this country. What are the qualifications? He should be a citizen of India. His age should not be less than 35 years. He should be qualified to become a Rajya Sabha member. he should not be holding any office of profit. Yesterday I have explained that what is the office of profit while explaining the lecture of president, that there are this
सर राज्यसभा की एज आई थिंक 30 है,
but for becoming a vice
35 है, पर
for becoming vice president you need 35 years.
ओके
Oh. That what is the office of profit? Office of profit is that holding any government or any local authority or public authority office, that comes under the office of profit. And which are the not part of office of profit, like president, vice president, governors, minister of state and minister of union, all these do not comes under office of profit. So means simultaneously you cannot be on the both post. That means you cannot hold the office of profit with holding these post of president or vice president. We yesterday read that for president, I mean if anyone want to become a president candidate, at least he should have 50 proposals and 50 seconders. But for the vice president we only need 20 proposer and 20 seconder. Then next, who takes the oath of vice president? It is the president who took the, who administers the oath of the vice president. Next is the president post is for 5 years, and resign he will address it to the president of our country. Then now we will read what is his function. Here it is on the first line it is written that Vice President of India acts as the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. So he holds the office of chairmanship of Rajya Sabha. It is the ex officio. What is the meaning of ex officio chairman? It is because his authority is so big, due to in his respect we are giving him that seat, that is termed as ex officio. That is the meaning of that term of ex officio. Next is, if the Indian vice president acts as the president due to a vacancy in the office of the president, then he does so for as a maximum of 6 months. Suppose vice president is absent due to any reasons, and it is a provision in our constitution that it should not be, vice president should not hold the post of president more than 6 months. If president is not able to, if president is not elected, this means that you should conduct the election of president under this 6 months. If somebody has left his office, any president has left his office for any reason, for completing his tenure, or he died due to holding that office, so under these 6 months you should conduct the election of president. So vice president can only hold the office maximum for 6 months. However, if the president is sitting but unable to discharge his function, so here is the condition when president post would be vacant by resignation, or he died during the tenure of his office. But here it is, in second point it is written that however president is sitting but unable to discharge his functions, means president is holding the office but he is not able to discharge his function due to any reason, maybe illness or something else, or he is out of the state, out of the country, went somewhere for some reasons, then vice president will act as the president for the period till president resumes office. So जब तक president office में वापस नहीं आता, vice president will hold his office, act as a president. And when vice president will act as a president, he will not act as a ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Due to these kind of circumstances and reasons, we elect the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. So when vice president would be act as a president, then deputy chairman would fulfill the work and do the work of the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So there is some differences written between American Vice President and Indian. American Vice President, if acts as President due to vacancy in the office of the President, then he remains as President for the full remainder or unexpired term of the President. Suppose in America, I mean, like currently Joe Biden is the President of America, and he due to some reason he, I mean, left that office or something happened like that, or he vacated that office, then the vice president will become the president and he will serve the post of president only for the left period. Suppose they become president for 4 years, Joe Biden has completed 2 years, and after 2 years he left that office, so the next vice president will become president only for 2 years. But same case is not with India. If in India some vice president will become the president, he will complete the whole 5 years. I mean, from the day he enter into office, he will hold that office till 5 years if he become the president. So you people got this, I mean, differences. What is difference between holding office of vice president of India and president of वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ अमेरिका? समझ में आया आप लोगों को?
सर
yes, sir.
अगर जो अमेरिका में सर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट का वर्क करेंगे तो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट की जगह कौन लेगा?
वाइस प्रेसिडेंट की जगह पे दे विल इलेक्ट समवन ऑन द पोस्ट ऑफ वाइस प्रेसिडेंट.
डिप्टी चेयरमैन ऑफ राज्यसभा जो होते हैं, हाँ, वो करते हैं.
तो वहां पे मतलब वाइस प्रेसिडेंट वहां पे नए इलेक्ट हो जाएंगे जब वो प्रेसिडेंट बनेगा. एंड इन द सेम केस इफ इन इंडिया वाइस प्रेसिडेंट विल बिकम अ प्रेसिडेंट, there is different. If vice president is acting on the post of president, then he is not president, I mean he is president for a limited time, but when he will become the president, then he will be no more vice president, then we will also elect someone as a vice president in India too. समझ में आया? अगर
yes sir, thank you.
Okay. Then next is prime minister. In the scheme of parliamentary system of government provided by the constitution, president is nominal executive authority and prime minister is real executive authority. So president is the nominal and prime minister is the real. So here it is the real means he is in reality he enjoys the highest authority, I mean he enjoys the highest power, real power. In other words, president is the head of state and prime minister is the head of government. So where which article constitution talk about prime minister? It is article 75. Article 75 says only that the prime minister shall be appointed by the president. Can you people hold 1 minute? हेलो, हाँ कॉमरेड. अभी मैं क्लास ले रहा हूँ. हाँ. Okay, so there was an emergency call. I have to take that. So we have discussed that Article 75 says about the Prime Minister and it should be appointed by the President. Now we will read what is the function of Prime Minister. PM is the head of Council of Ministers and without him Council of Ministers cannot survive, because when PM resign or die, the whole Council of Ministers automatically goes out of office. So whenever a Prime Minister resigns from his post, his whole cabinet minister will also resign with him, because he is the leader of the cabinet minister, head of the cabinet minister. And It is the prerogative of the Prime Minister. Can anyone tell what is the meaning of this prerogative term? Prerogative means privilege. So it is the privilege of the Prime Minister to select his ministerial colleague and distribute the portfolios among them. So it is the totally under the authority of Prime Minister. If we will look state, then the Chief Minister. He has the sole authority to make anyone as a minister of India in his government, and he can give any portfolios. What are portfolios? Like defense portfolio, education portfolio, health portfolio, or finance portfolio. All these are portfolios. If the Prime Minister who convenes the cabinet meeting and decide upon the agenda of the cabinet meeting, and thus it is Prime Minister who can give a general direction to the administration of the country. So it is the Prime Minister who calls the meeting, and they convey the meeting. They decide what should be the policies. So it is the Prime Minister who gives them direction, and whatever cabinet will decide, all the cabinet ministers should be agreed with that. Whatever the cabinet ministries collectively decide. It is the prerogative of the Prime Minister to announce the important policy decision to the country and the Parliament as per timing of choice. We all know that our Prime Minister do the same thing. They are, our Prime Minister used to announce the policies and decisions, important decision for our country. Prime Minister is the chief spokesperson of Council of Ministers. We also know this. Prime Minister is above all the ministers and sits in judgment over the function of all other ministers. Prime Minister alone act as the link. So here it is the important point that Prime Minister, if there need a communication between Council of Ministers and President, the Prime Minister act as the messenger between them, and he is the link between Council of Ministers and President. So Prime Minister conveys the thing whatever decided by Council of Ministers to the President for taking any decision, or for making any ordinance, or for other policies. Prime Minister acts as a link between President and Council of Ministers, and also between President and Parliament. Since it is the prerogative of Prime Minister to meet the President and inform him about the affairs of Council of Ministers and Parliament, so it is the privilege of Prime Minister to meet the President and tell him what is going on in Parliament and how Council of Ministers is working. He advises the President. He also advises the President regarding the summoning and proroguing, regarding the सेशन को बुलाने के लिए और फिर सेशन को खत्म करने के लिए पार्लियामेंट के. So he Prime Minister advise the President to do those things. So according to that, President does. He can recommend dissolution of Lok Sabha to the President at any time. So Prime Minister has this authority to dissolve the Lok Sabha at any time. And when when Prime Minister dissolve the Lok Sabha, after that election would be conducted. Same case with the Chief Minister. Chief Ministers also can dissolve their legislative assembly at any time. We all know that in Telangana, KCR dissolved his assembly in 4 years. Just completing the 4 years, 1 year before the tenure. So it is totally under the authority of the Prime Minister. And same case happened with there in Pakistan. Prime Minister requested President to dissolve the assembly, but Supreme Court reinstated there in Pakistan. Next is he announces government policies on the floor of houses. We all know that it's Prime Minister who announced the policies in our Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. What is the other power? These are the important council whose chairman always remains a prime minister. So whoever becomes prime minister, he automatically becomes the chairman of Niti Aayog, National Integration Council. Yesterday I have asked question on this to Interstate Council, National Water Source Resource Council. All these councils head automatically becomes prime minister. If somebody came, I mean, join the office of prime minister, he plays a significant role in shaping the foreign policy of the country. He is the chief spokesperson of the union government. He is the crisis manager in chief at the political level during emergencies. As a leader of nation, he meets various sections of the people. These are some basic things. We all know these things. But always remember about this chairman of Niti Aayog, National Integration Council, Interstate Council. Sometimes these councils asked. Last year regarding, there was a question regarding Niti Aayog. Next question comes is the Council of Minister. About Council of Minister, it is mentioned in Article 74, and in the Article 75 it is mentioned how they should be appointed, what should be their tenure, what is their responsibility, what is their qualification, how who will how they will take oath under whom, and what should be their salaries and allowances. All these things are mentioned in Article 75. So in India we have three kinds of ministers. First is cabinet minister. Just now I have earlier mentioned that there is a cabinet ministers. So they are the senior most ministers. So there is a council of ministers, and then there is cabinet ministers. Okay, so there is council of minister and there is cabinet. Whole ministry comes under the council of ministers. Cabinet minister, minister of state, and deputy minister, they come under the council of minister. And cabinet minister is the senior most group of the council of minister, that is known as cabinet minister. They are the senior most ministers. If they are given a portfolio, they are always in charge of the ministry, like defense ministry, education ministry, health ministry, transport ministry, road, highways and transport ministry. These are the important cabinet ministries in our country. Finance ministry. Cabinet ministers have a right to attend the cabinet meeting. So within the council of ministers, these topmost executives are the cabinet, and cabinet ministers mainly decide the policies of the country. Most of the policies are decided by cabinet ministers. Then comes the minister of state. So there are two kinds of minister of state, and they are at the second rank, who are normally not given an independent charge of the minister. So there are two kinds. Either minister of state will work under the cabinet of cabinet minister, or he will get an independent charge. So it is the prime minister's discretion can appoint minister of state as the head of ministry, will be known as the minister of state with independent charge. So there are two kinds of minister of state. One works under the cabinet minister within the portfolio of under the finance minister in Nirmala Sitharaman, and there is one minister of state. What is his name? He is from Himachal Pradesh. Can anyone tell minister of state in finance minister? Yes, Anurag Thakur. So Anurag Thakur is currently minister of state under the finance minister. So he has not got the independent charge. But there are some minister of state, they have got the independent charge of any department or whole ministry. So minister of states are two kinds, and above them is cabinet minister, and below them is deputy minister. What is they are the junior most ministers who are never given an independent ministry or department. So they don't have independent ministry or department. Their work is to assist cabinet minister or minister of state or both in discharging their official duties. So deputy ministers are basically made to assist the minister of states or cabinet minister, or both of them discharging their duties. So these are the three, in three parts we decide the ministers in India. Next comes the Attorney General of India, which is the highest law officer in our country, and it is mentioned in Article 76 of Indian Constitution. He is appointed by the President, and what its qualification? His qualification is that he must be a person who is qualified to be appointed as judge of the Supreme Court. His qualification is that he should be that much qualified that he can be appointed as the judge of Supreme Court. In other words, he must be a citizen of India. He must have been a judge of some high court for 5 years. So at least if we are making some judge of high court as Attorney General of India, he should be at least have experience of 5 years in any high court. Next is or an advocate of some high court for 10 years. So if not a judge, then some advocate who has at least practices 10 years, spent 10 years in under done practice under some high court for 10 years. Next is he can be also an eminent jurist in the opinion of president. So from there they basically select someone as Attorney General of India, but we have seen that mainly most of our Attorney Generals are the senior advocates. There are very less chance that they select some judge of high court. Most of the time we have seen that any senior judge of the Supreme Court appointed as the Attorney General of India. Can anyone tell me who is currently our Attorney General?
Sir, K.K. Venugopal.
Yes, currently K.K. Venugopal is the Attorney General of India. So what is the work of Attorney General of India? He advises the government of India on legal matters. He represents the union and the state before the court, though he is allowed to take up private practices provided that the other party is not state. He can he works under the union government, and he fights cases for the union government. He also can do private practices, but usually less AGIs, Attorney General do private practices. But whenever if he is doing private practices, he should not go against the state government. When both parties are private, then he can do private practice. Otherwise he cannot do. He cannot go against the state while as a Attorney General of India. In performing of his duties, Attorney General of India has the right of audience in all courts. Attorney General has this authority that in any court of the India he can go and sit. In Supreme Court, in any High Court, or in any district court, he can go anytime and can sit there. And other power of Attorney General of India that he can go and sit in any parliament, either Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha. Anytime he can go and he can attend the proceedings of the Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. But he do not have the authority of voting. He cannot vote. If suppose some bill presented before the parliament, he is present there. So when they will vote, he cannot vote, but he can be present there. This is the two important power of the Attorney General of India. He is not paid a salary, but rather he a retainer. What is the retainer? Retainer means because he is providing his services to our country, he gets some money in spite of in return of that. So his retainer is given to him, is determined by President of India and is equivalent to the salary of Supreme Court judge. So what he gets, in retainership, he gets the salary of Supreme Court judge and enjoys privilege and immunity reserved for MPs. He also enjoys the privileges and immunities which are for a member of parliament. His office is office of profit and he is not a government servant or a full-time council of the government. As per convenience, after the change of the government, AGI resigns and the new government appoints its own attorney general. So what normally happens that, whenever a new government came, they elect new attorney generals. So whenever any country tenure completed 5-year tenure, attorney general normally resigns from that post. If again that same government came, then it would be up to them to appoint him again, or they can appoint anyone else. Attorney General of India is assisted by Solicitor General and additional Solicitor Generals. So this is complete. I have completed this today's lecture by this. Does anyone have
Solicitor General?
Solicitor General, the President. So anyone have any doubt? Sorry?
सॉलिसिटर जनरल भी अटॉर्नी जनरल की तरह मतलब वो रिजाइन दे देते हैं.
हाँ. So, I want to
अभी भी तुषार मेहता ही है क्या सॉलिसिटर जनरल?
हाँ, तुषार मेहता.
हमारे साइड 3 साल से तुषार मेहता ही है.
हाँ, I think तुषार मेहता is still.
Yes, तुषार मेहता is solicitor general.
So I want to share with you people some amendments, some recent amendment which happened. I will take only 5 minutes. Last 5 amendments are important. Last 5 amendments happened in our constitution, and these are really important amendments. So you people should be aware about it.
So please send in group also.
Sorry. So shall I explain it today or in the next class? Okay. So can anyone tell what is in article? What is in 102nd Amendment Act? Okay, so first currently we have total 105 Amendment Act, and from the 101st Amendment Act,
weaker sections one.
EWS is 103rd. So in 101st Amendment Act, concept of goods and services tax scheme that came on 1st July 2017. So you do not need to remember the year or date. Just remember by the 101st Amendment Act, GST came in our country. Then second is 102nd. It came on 11 August 2018, and by that, Commission of Backward Class. We know that there is a SC Commission, there is a ST Commission, there is a Minority Commission, there is a Women Commission, National Human Rights Commission, but for the backward classes, this commission came in 2018 by the 102nd Amendment Act. Then next is 103rd. By 103rd Amendment Act that came on 12 January 2019, 10% reservation given to the economical weaker section. So it came by 103rd Amendment Act. Then next came 104th Amendment Act. We have just discussed that SC/ST's reservation in Lok Sabha and Assembly is extended for 10 more years, and the reservation of Anglo-Indian community is removed. Then the last and recently 105th Amendment Act happened on 10 August 2021, that is to restore state power by the, here we have read that on 102nd backward class commission came, but with the same 102nd Amendment Act they have made some changes that President would only the authority to release the list of the OBCs, but in the same time in Maharashtra, government has released an OBC list, and then it was challenged before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court struck down that reservation on the ground that now only president can make, governor cannot make. So for rectifying
Sir, please explain about 105 amendment.
that's what I am explaining, that under 102nd Amendment Act, government had made some changes that now only president would be able to make the OBC list for the state as well as center. But in Maharashtra government has released a list of OBCs, but when it challenged before the Supreme Court has struck down it. I mean, Supreme Court has rejected it on the ground that now president can only release the list after this 102nd Amendment Act. So for rectifying it, 105th Amendment Act came. I mean, Parliament bring the 105th Amendment Act, and in that again, power of governor for making an OBC list restored. So this was the 105th Amendment Act. समझ में आया आप लोगों को?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, so this is what I mean 105th Amendment Act came.
सर एक बार 105 वापस रिपीट कर दो.
So basically what happened कि 102nd Amendment जब आया तो उसमें ये चेंजेस ला दिया गया कि अब प्रेसिडेंट ही केवल ओबीसी लिस्ट बना सकता है, लेकिन महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट ने एक ओबीसी लिस्ट तैयार किया, तो जब वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में चैलेंज किया गया तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसे स्ट्राइक डाउन कर दिया इस ग्राउंड पे कि 102nd अमेंडमेंट एक्ट आने के बाद अब केवल प्रेसिडेंट ही ओबीसी लिस्ट क्रिएट कर सकता है. तो इसको देखते हुए कि अब और भी स्टेट में इस तरह के प्रॉब्लम आ जाएंगे, तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने दोबारा से 105th अमेंडमेंट एक्ट लाया और उसमें गवर्नर का जो पावर है ओबीसी लिस्ट बनाने का उसे रिस्टोर कर दिया. तो अब गवर्नर भी ओबीसी लिस्ट क्रिएट कर सकता है और प्रेसिडेंट भी. तो ये था 105th अमेंडमेंट में कि गवर्नर को भी पावर दे दिया गया है ओबीसी लिस्ट क्रिएट करने का, जो कि पहले था 102nd में उसे चेंज कर दिया था, लेकिन फिर से 105th में उसे ला दिया गया वापस. Anyone have anything else? Any doubt? So I want to tell that from now on we have our semester exam. So we are taking a break of 15 days, but in these days we will continuously send you the mock test. So you people should always, I mean, actively participate in mock test. And if I will get some time, I will make some, I mean, some videos on this UN or other Nobel Prize, or I will locate whatever the important topics you people, for you people. So I will make some video on that and I will share link with you people. And after our exam, that is last exam is 30th April, in next day I would be able to take class again. So till that time you people should read whatever I have sent you, the short note of Indian polity, read chapter 14 from Universal, and there are also lots of questions in Universal. Solve those questions, and catch up maybe come in this end of month or in the next month, earlier next month. So go and read that for current affairs. You can read any other, I mean, if in your market, if any good magazine is available which is covering the last 6 months, last 1 year current affair, you can also read and have some idea.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So if there is no question, I mean, you people can leave. Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, thank you.
सर लीगल एप्टीट्यूड की क्लास नहीं चली थी.
हाँ, लीगल एप्टीट्यूड की मैं बात करता हूँ. अगर वो लीगल एप्टीट्यूड की क्लास लेना चाहेंगे तो अभी कुछ ले सकते हैं, नहीं तो फिर बाद में हम लोग 30th अप्रैल के बाद में 1st मई से हम उसे कंटिन्यू कराएंगे.
ओके सर.
ओके, थैंक यू तुलसी. everyone.